This is in response to Benjamin Netanyahu's address before the joint sessions of Congress, which today is March 4th, 2015. I didn't watch all the speech. I did read the speech. I did watch many of the pertinent aspects of the speech. I'd like to make some brief comments about it, and they would be going is that number one, there were three important things about the speech. And before I even get into that, remember that the speech wasn't about the speech. The speech was about Netanyahu, protecting Netanyahu, and being able to be reelected again. But also remember that it's very important, especially for some of these politicians, Netanyahu especially in yesterday's address, was that let's talk about this stuff over here, and we're going to forget about all of this stuff over here. So let's talk about the stuff over here, and that has to do with Iran. And at one point in time, he conflated Iran and ISIS as being the same, whereas I believe yesterday or the day before, Iraq is bringing 20,000 people to try to retake Tikrit from ISIL, and they're doing that with Iraqi soldiers, Sunni militiamen who are being trained and being led by Iranians and Sunni tribesmen, so to speak. Now, why is that significant? Well, the thing is that Iran is working with us, so to speak, in trying to get rid of ISIL. Of course, they're trying to. They are being claimed to be trying to make a bomb right now. But let's make one thing clear about the bomb. And Hillary Clinton said this more than a year ago. If Iran ever got a bomb and used the bomb, even just one, we would wipe them off the face of the earth, or as we used to say, we would bomb them to smithereens. Yes, and they know that. Now, they may love Allah, but they're not going to sign their own death warrant. There's some nasty players over there, but they're not going to sign their own death warrant like that. And there are opportunities the Iranian people are very lovely people, and they will go with their leaders if we attack them first. And so this is a delicate balancing act. Our hope is that over a point in time that the religious leaders will lose their significance and be dethroned sort of in that way. But that could take a long, long time. But let's get back to the main thing. If Iran ever develops a bomb, we'll bomb them to smithereens if they ever try to use it. So what was Benjamin Netanyahu's speech really about? And, well, let's get to one other aspect of it. Why did the Republicans invite him there? The Republicans invited him there to defer to the fact that over here, right after the speech, they were going to pass legislation to fund Homeland Security for the rest of the year. So they did that after all the commotion of the Bibi speech. And of course, the ambassador to America from Israel is a United States citizen, or was a United States citizen, and was a Republican operative out of Florida. So you see how that stuff all intertwines in there. So let's get back to the main thing. Bibi made the speech for three reasons. One, he's in a fight for his political life. He wants to stay Prime Minister of Israel. In some polls he's leading, in some polls he's not leading. It's a very close race. And he wouldn't be coming over to America to make this speech if he thought it would hurt him in any way, shape, or form. He came over here to make this speech because he thought it would help him. He thought it would help him in the standing in Israel on their election, which is coming up on March 17th. So this was 100% purely political on his part. The speech was not intended for anyone in America. He played a little deference to Americans, but the speech was intended for his audience back in Israel. The second thing is that while we're talking about Iran and a war that's not going on right now between Israel and Iran outside of a media war, there is a real war going on with Israel and the Palestinians who reside within Israel, Gaza, the West Bank, etc. And Bibi has shown absolutely no intention of doing anything to try and find any type of two-state solution, which the United States has advocated for a long time. He has done. He is a warmonger, and in my humble opinion, he doesn't even want to have peace with the Palestinians ever. And he'll just play this game a little bit to keep it going. But remember, there were a lot of he went into Gaza last year. There were a lot of civilians that were innocently killed. And let's remember, Gaza is a very highly populated area, and most of the people there are civilians, and it's extremely dense. and Bibi did a lot of nasty things in there. And so remember, he's got a problem within his own borders about his own little civil war with the Palestinians. Now, the Palestinians, they playing the best game either? No, they're not. They're being funded by Hamas. They're being funded by Hezbollah. I believe Hezbollah is funded through Iran, so you can see the connections that are going on in there. So there's a lot, but he's not making any real attempt to find a two-state solution there or to find any type of peace. Because hey, let's not accept the two-state solution. Let's just have peace. Why don't we find a way to have peace? That hasn't been done either. He's not advocating that at all. He's paying a little bit of lip service to it, etc. And then the third thing is, again, Bibi has another problem. He has to have a larger-than-life situation, which he seems to be the leader. He's advocating that he's the leader, that he will not take any prisoners, so to speak, if there's anything with Iran, etc. Makes him, because security is a big thing in Israel, because not only for the election, but remember, one of the things that isn't mentioned much around here is that Israel has about 30% of their population who are living in poverty. And that is a cause of grave concern. They also have a huge discrepancy in Israel, just like we have in the United States, between the rich and the poor. There are a number of billionaires in there who run a lot of the industries, and the poor people are saying, hey man, we've had about enough of this shit. So Bibi spoke to Congress for 3 reasons. 1, because he wants to be re-elected. 2, to be re-elected, he needs to make himself look like a big leader, and who's protecting Israel against Iran, even though the United States is not protecting them, knowing that the United States would blow Iran to smithereens if Iran was to get a bomb and to send it to Israel. So, and he's got his own little civil war going on there, and he has a very high percentage of people living in poverty, which he does not want to address those last 2 things. That's why Bibi came to the United States.